0-0 then at half-time. We're still waiting for our first goal of 2023 in the Premier League. Glenn, you made a really good point about Unai Emery's defensive setup before the game, having watched his 3 games in charge, and you noticed it straight away here.
Well, I noticed it against Brighton and other teams hanging on to a lead deep into a game. I didn't expect them to start quite like this, actually. But there's the 6 across again, as we've said. The 2 outside midfield players, Buendia and McGinn, have to go back almost like fullbacks. And they play with the back four very tight together. And it's made it very difficult for Tottenham to break down because actually they're playing into their hands at the moment. They're playing for the eye of a needle. They're not getting round the outsides, which is very difficult. There's the 6 again, and that's been a pattern. And then your 2 strikers have dropped in deep, and the 2 in midfield there shield the back four. So, yeah, it's difficult to break down. Spurs have found it very, very hard. There's the example of eye of a needle type of ball to try and break it down. And I think it's up to Spurs to come up with some better ideas to take this forward.
And on the back of that, Harry Kane, who, as we told you before the game, has scored more goals in this calendar year in the Premier League than any other player, had his longest wait all season just to touch the ball. He had to wait 20 minutes. His previous longest was just 7 minutes. Now, from the centre-forward's point of view, at home to Aston Villa, and your main man's got statistics like that. Incidentally, Darren, as well, Ollie Watkins, the opposing centre-forward, only had to wait 7 minutes. That's an astonishing statistic.
Yeah, it is a little bit. I think the way that Aston Villa have set up defensively has not helped Harry. And I think if Harry wants to get more touches as he does, he's having to drop deeper and deeper. But then, again, that's the problem. You want your main man up the higher end of the pitch, doing his stuff in and around the box so we can, of course, score. But you've got to give a lot of credit to Aston Villa defensively, but I think with Spurs as well. And I did worry before the game, when you play Basuma and Højbjerg, they're more holders, they're not really creativity. So the passes has been there, but you've got to do it early. I think at times Spurs are getting on the ball, they're going sideways, they're going backwards. And by that time, Aston Villa are dropping into shape and there's just no space in there. What they're going to have to do is somehow get the ball to feet early and go straight away, one pass into Harry, and then they'll get more touches. But the moment you have 3, 4, 5 touches, before they look to Harry, Aston Villa have blocked that off, so they're going to have to change tactics.
And that comes when Villa have got the ball. That comes when you hand over the ball. So when Spurs win it, particularly in the defensive or the middle third, that is where the Spurs have been poor. The 2 in midfield, Basuma and Højbjerg, they've got to be able to turn quickly, get the ball forward, like Darren's saying. That's when it can't happen easily when they're all banked in. We've just seen that. It's when Villa actually do come out that's the key to have the ball played forward. Don't look square, don't look back. And Tottenham have been too pedestrian in the way that they've played. I've seen them do it a lot this season. It's just about looking forward. You're not asking if the decision is there and there's players there, play it forward. But it's when the game's just opened up a bit, when your opponents have got the ball, that's when they're most vulnerable in many ways. And Spurs have not made that a key issue in this game.
When they got one good cross in, Harry Kane had an opportunity. But how well did Ashley Young do from Aston Villa's point of view?
Well, he sensed danger because, as you said, the ball goes over his head and he's the one who initially makes the mistake, if you want to call it that, because he drops early and allows Perisic in behind. But he recovers really well and gets himself into a position where he can affect it because, as you can see here, Perisic bends it in behind and he's the one who drops 3-4 yards deeper than the rest of the back line. But he senses danger there. He understands that the ball goes over his head. Can he get himself into a position to affect it? And he does that really well. It's a good header from Harry Kane. He's thinking he scored. Ashley Young judges that really, really well, manages to clear it.
And in 8.5 first minutes, we saw all 3 centre-backs booked for Spurs, Glenn. Ben Davies, was he perhaps the one most relieved?
Yeah, look, he gives the ball away there, and we've all done it. You try and make up for your mistake. It wasn't his ball really to win. He's gone in there, he's left the floor, that's the worry. If he'd have left the floor and, look, he stands still, I think he gets a tad of the ball, there's a block on the ball, I think that's where he's lucky. If he misses any part of the ball, he's definitely sent off. Now, Conte at half-time has got a decision to make. All 3 of them have been booked.
Yeah.
Which one does he take off? And when does he take them off? Does he make an assessment? I think I'd have to think about putting Dyer on at half-time because there's... Listen, you only need 1 mistimed tackle and you've got 3 of them. Now, you don't know who it's going to be. You could put Dyer on and Romero does it and it goes against you. But to have... You play the percentages and you think, well, actually, I've got to look at this now. Those 3 are mistimed tackle. Fortunately, Spurs have been on the front foot most of the game, but it just takes a little bit of a move from Villa to get up the pitch and then they're under the cosh.
That was the combination for the first goal. And how big a part did Ollie Watkins in the end play in it, Darren? We know about the goalkeeping error, but he was alive to it, the centre.
He was really sharp, reacted quicker than anyone. And you look at it there's 3 defenders in the middle of the 2 centre halves. But as he comes in, he's on his way already. As it goes past him, he's on his way just in case Lloris was to drop it and then composure at the end. Because to be fair to him, he probably could have gone down because there was a few last-ditch challenges. Lloris comes flying out. He could have gone over and maybe won a penalty, but no, he keeps his composure. He stays on his feet, has a little look. You see Buendia there, and he just leaves it into an area where he just said, come on, just put it in the empty net, and he does that. And as I said, it's a poor goalkeeping error from Lloris, but well played Louis Watkins, and Buendia keeps his composure, he scores.
Oh, it's poor goalkeeping. It's pretty obvious. It's really poor. He's put it back in the danger zone. And also, Romero was not alive. He was sleeping. He was the one that was closest to the knocking. You know, Watkins as a striker goes in there because that's what you're always thinking there, bits and pieces. It should be, if it's going to be parried, it's got to be parried wide of the goals. It's gone back in there. And I think if you look at it again, Romero's on his heels. And I think it's Longley that's had to make more distance to get back, I think it was. And it was a dreadful goal from Tottenham's point of view all round. Here we've got it there. It's a poor goalkeeper, but look, Romero's just on his heels, not even aware of that second ball that, what if my goalkeeper doesn't make the save that he should do? And that's what
he doesn't react, does he? He
doesn't react. He's on his heels. He's dreaming of cleaning his World Cup medal, I think, at the time.
And 3 errors leading to goals this season now for Hugo Lloris, more than any other Premier League player.
I think he's made mistake after mistake. And sometimes a goalkeeper can make mistakes and it doesn't end up in the back of the net. But I think with Lloris at the moment, it's happening too many times when it's in the net, so it gets analysed and focused on. A lot of keepers, they can get away with it. But at the moment, he's got... I didn't like him in the tunnel before the game, Steve, did I? I said to him,
no, you didn't.
He looked really nervous. He looked really uptight. And he played like that.
We've spoken a lot about Harry Kane's touches, how he was getting deeper, a bit more frustrated, getting on the ball, and ultimately he was involved in the way the second goal came around.
Yeah, he was a yard off it, Harry, today. Just didn't look sharp, his usual sharp self. Certainly in possession, he keeps it really well. And you can see here, when he gets the ball, nice little flick in the first place. But then when he gets back to him, usually he's got a picture, but he's quite slow. He waits for the ball. And the way Aston Villa were playing at the time, they got onto his case. But from there, it's all about John McGinn's pass. But the touch and finish from Douglas Luiz is incredible. All in one moment. As you can see here, nice touch from Kane. Does really well, holds his position. But there's no picture after that. And he's slow in possession, doesn't react. But after that, Aston Villa deserve a lot of credit. And Douglas Luiz, who's not really renowned for running in behind, all in one movement, good first touch, outside of the boot, and it's a really good finish. But that is a lovely pass from John McGinn, right weight and everything.
Yeah, beautiful pass, and you know, well taken as well from Luiz, and they deserved the win, Villa, the way they played. But it's interesting. That's too easy from Tottenham's point of view. When you've got 3 centre backs to go through the centre of the 3 of them, Basuma was the one who had to track from midfield. But he's probably thinking, well, one of my centre-backs, I've got 3 of them behind me, one of them should be in the centre of the pitch.
Yeah.
And at the moment, it's like there's a great big, it's like the parting of the waves. Davis was out wide, he couldn't get back and recover. That's a poor goal from a defensive point of view.
Where are Spurs at, Glenn? They've conceded now 2 or more in 7 consecutive league games. Like I say, the last time that happened was 1988. The good news for you was you just left, so you couldn't be partially to blame in that particular run. But defensively, what Antonio Conte prides himself on, I mean, that's unheard of in his team.
We've just seen them, identified those mistakes where they could have put things right on them 2 goals. Good goals from Villa's point of view, but they could have been stopped. And that's a pattern that's happening, and that is a problem. I think there's a lack of confidence in the keeper at the moment. I really do. That's why we spoke before. Tottenham need two centre-backs. I think Conte, if he stays, that's what he's looking to do, to bring 2 new centre-backs in to play with Romero. So he's identifying where they need help, and there's other places in the pitch where they need help. I've said they've got a very good squad in a sense. If you lose Mora, Kulusevski and Richarlison, that's a big miss, but they couldn't cope. That team that finished on the pitch there at the end was unrecognisable to any Spurs fan, really. And I think there's a deeper problem there, and it's got to be sorted out quickly. The fixtures that are coming round the corner are tough fixtures. They've got to go to Palace now, away, under the lights, tough place to go. And then I think, you've got the North London derby, Man City twice in there. And any game at the moment for Tottenham, I don't care if it's home or away, against any opponent, at this moment in time, is a difficult game.
That's not the run of fixtures you want with the run of form that they're on.
No, it's not, because you're right. Going to Crystal Palace under the lights will be difficult. North London derby, Arsenal flying. But just got to find a way of playing, I think, Spurs. I mean, they almost look more comfortable when they can sit in, defend from a kind of deep shape and then hit teams on a counter-attack. But almost when Spurs have to kind of take the game to the opposition because they're expected to, because they're the better side, that's where they struggle. And I think at the minute they're kind of caught in between. But of course, when you could see goals, you go 2 down, 1-0 down early. At the minute, you can get away with it with some teams in the Premier League, but at some stage it will catch up with you. And today was a prime example of that.
Yep, bad day at the office for Tottenham, but a terrific day for Unai Emery and Aston Villa, who've now picked up 9 points under his stewardship from a possible 12.